Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Human Factor live stream, Sales and Marketing for People, Not Robots. I am co-host Alan Langer. Sitting to my left is Mr. Steve Brown of ROI Online. And you see a little third box there. We've got a guest today, our first guest on the live stream, and that is the incomparable Alex B. Sheridan from LinkedIn fame. So we are going to dive into some LinkedIn stuff this morning. But first, how we doing, gentlemen? Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
We're doing excellent.
Doing great, man. I'm happy to be on here. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is cool. So just to catch people up or let people know who are joining us for the first time, first of all, thank you. But Steve and I started this live stream because we realized that the best companies, the best businesses have marketing and sales working together rather than as separate entities. So we decided to do this live stream weekly at 11 a.m. Eastern on Thursdays to not only talk about that concept, but also how to be a human being when you are doing your sales and doing your marketing. You know, too much stuff is Steve and I both feel is becoming automated these days. And we're going to get into the automation part of the LinkedIn stuff with Alex. But, you know, we need to, automation is important. Technology is obviously clearly important, but you also cannot forget how to become and stay a human being when you're interacting with people. So, I have a company called the 7 Secrets Center for Sales and Marketing. Steve owns the ROI online marketing agency, and Alex has his own company called Impacts. And Alex also does most of his work on LinkedIn as well. So why don't we get into it? Steve, why don't you talk about your thoughts about the importance of LinkedIn and where we're going with this?
Yeah. So, as every day I get on and I try to be active on LinkedIn, and I know that everyone else is trying to figure it out too. It's one of the best platforms to be, as far as social media is concerned, to be professional. There's more folks on there actually delivering insights about what their profession is or what they want to do. But I still feel awkward sometimes and clumsy and wondering what's the best way for me to take advantage of that platform. I see other people doing it. Alex is one of them, and that's why he's on today. But I'm thinking, what are some things that I can do to do better on LinkedIn? And that was what the reasoning for having Alex on this show. So I'm really looking forward to learning some things. I've got some questions. Some of them may seem dumb, but I want to make sure that we cover the stuff that helps us do better on LinkedIn. I think it's a great platform. I see LinkedIn investing in it, and now they've got live streaming going on and some other things. So I'm really looking forward to learning today.
Hey, Alex, first of all, thanks for joining us. Why don't you tell everyone, give us a little brief of your journey on LinkedIn, because I know it's been, I've seen you almost from the beginning, and it's been really cool to watch how you've grown and really turned this into your own business. So why don't you give a little people some inspiration on how you got to where you are?
Most definitely. So, really, this business was founded customer day one, February of this year, right before, COVID and everything hit. And it started off as a side business. I was working full time for 6 years at the largest staffing and recruiting company in the country, and doing business development, generating revenue for them on the sales side, and started this business after I got off work. So I was, 5 o'clock, I'd start my business. Weekends, I was working on my business every second that I possibly could. And I was pretty much, for the most part, all on LinkedIn. Outreach, inbound, creating content, creating unique videos that stand out, that build a brand, creating a movement, building a community. And 6 months later, this is why I'm so passionate about getting out there and having a voice and creating content on LinkedIn and other platforms too. But the magic that can happen when you really get serious with it and you put your head down and get to work and provide a lot of value for your audience. 6 months later, I was able to replace my 6-figure income at my full-time job and leave and quit. And I put in my notice, and I said, I'm leaving. They're like, where are you going? What company? Everyone's like, what company are you going to? Who's going to provide something better than us? And I'm like, I'm not leaving. I told you guys I wouldn't leave for another company. I'm leaving to pursue my dream. I'm leaving to start my own business, because this is what I feel like I need to do in my life. And it's something I know I would regret if I didn't go for it. And I never looked back since. Literally, when I started the business in February, COVID hit the next month, really heavy in March. And so everyone realized, they looked around, they said, I don't have much of a of a virtual presence, a digital presence, and I can't go to live events anymore. I can't speak in front of people. Alan, you went through the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And the handshake meetings that we all went on, the face-to-face stuff, gone. And people all of a sudden were looking around saying, well, if I'm not live, where the hell am I? And so it's like, it really forced people to say, I need to start creating video content. I need to get myself out there, create content in general, but definitely at least mix in some video in there so people know who the heck I am. And so my business kind of took off. And then again, in July, I put in my notice, and it's been history ever since. It's been a heck of a ride. So,
I've excuse me, Steve. Yeah, I just wanted to say that's kind of when I started LinkedIn about a month later, and that's when I found Alex and saw what he was doing. And it's really inspiring because, pretty much I'm very close to the same path. And what he's talking about is, you're right. We all had to adjust. We all had to figure out what to do. And we either, curled up in a ball and said, let's wait till this is over, or let's get out there and do something. And you did that. And congratulations to you. And there's a system to do it. And we're going to go over that today. But Steve, you had a question?
Well, he said pursue his dream, and I'm curious about what was that dream.
The dream is to make as big of a positive impact as I can on this world, to inspire people. I felt like, me personally, one of my taglines is unleash your creative, unleash your potential. And I felt like for 30 years, I literally was wasting creative potential. I was wasting me being able to talk to people and inspire people. And one of the things I get most pumped up about, yes, winning customers and revenue, that stuff's great. But when I get a message saying, hey, I went through your program, or from working with you the last 3 months, you've changed my life. I didn't even think I could talk to the world. And now I'm doing this, and now I'm winning customers, and it's changed my whole business, and it's changed my personal life. That stuff really means a lot to me. And I didn't feel like I was going to be able to make that kind of an impact working for a corporate company and just kind of, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me personally, the 8 to 5, the job, I didn't feel like that was going to give me enough momentum to get out there and really speak to the world and help change people's lives. And really quickly, the reason I do like telling that story of how I started off as a side hustle, working a full-time job, being a single dad of 2 kids, is because sometimes I come across people where they're like, there's a lot of excuses that get thrown out when people don't want to, hesitating towards creating content. And I totally understand all of them. It's, I'm worried to put myself out there. What if people judge it? There's all that stuff. But then there's the excuse of time, where people are like, Alex, you don't understand though. And I love when they don't know my backstory. They're like, I got a kid. I'm trying to do this. I'm working a full-time job. And I'm like, oh no. I totally understand that. I had 2 kids, was working a full-time job that demanded a lot. I had people working for me, and I still built this business from scratch and didn't even know what LinkedIn was 2 years ago. I mean, I knew what it was, but I wasn't on here creating content consistently on the marketing side. I was just connecting with people for my job. So there's really no excuse. It's really just, how bad do you want it? And how much are you willing to sacrifice, and how much work are you willing to put in? And that's what everything comes down to. The same way if you're in sales. How good do you want to get sales? How bad do you want it?
Yeah, it's really inspiring, because what you're talking about, I love the fact that you said, you didn't say I'm doing this to make money. You didn't say I'm doing this to, retire in 10 years and go live on a beach somewhere. You said you're doing it to inspire people and to change their lives. And that's really freaking cool, because one of my taglines is, find what makes your heart sing. And if what makes your heart sing is going to also become an income producing thing for you, then you've got the world, that's the world you want to live in. So congratulations to you. So tell us, you made this decision. What do you think, tell people who are kind of in your spot right now, when you were 6 months ago, they're thinking of, all right, I really want to do this. I've got a side hustle, or I just want to get started on LinkedIn. What would you tell them to do?
You have to just start. As simple as it sounds, like you have to just go. People overthink it, right? If you go back and look at my first few videos and my first several posts, they were not what they are today. They weren't good. So I think the trap that people fall into is they do look at good videos. They do look at a good written piece of content, just a good post in general of someone that's been doing it for a long time, and they got 100 reactions and 100 comments, and they compare themselves to that person. And they say, oh, this seems like such a mountain to climb. Like, who am I to go out there? And I if I post, I'm not going to get that kind of reaction. I've never even done this before. Everyone started from ground zero. My first few posts got literally like 1 like and like 17 views, and I love showing that. And you, Alan, you know this, I've shown this to my team before. I'm like, guys, let me just hold on for 1 second for anyone that's discouraged. I'll go back through my last post or my original post, and I'll be like, look at these 3 posts when I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I got no reactions, and I generated no revenue from it. And so you have to start. Now, the 2 things I'll tell you, like when you're going to start, if you want to know how I'm thinking about it or what advice I would give somebody, you really got to think about who you are as a person, what unique things that you have to bring out to show to the world. Everyone has talents. Everyone has something that makes them unique, that causes them to stand out versus other people. You have to leverage that. Some people think they need to get on LinkedIn and be a just ultra serious business person. I was like, no, I'm going to show the side of me that I have some humor to me. I'm like charismatic. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm going to show, I like music. I like to rap. And so I showed those sides. You can't be afraid to show yourself, because that's what's going to differentiate you from everyone else. The biggest advantage, that you have in life is that you are you and nobody else is you. Yet people tend to get in here and want to look at what everyone else is doing, and they want to fit in. And it's like instantly you're taking away your number one advantage. So that's one piece. The second part of it is that you really got to think about your audience. Who are you here to serve? So as much as I love to inspire people and I'd love to talk about all kinds of things all day, I got to keep in mind, who is my audience? Because if I'm not talking about things enough, or at least frequently enough, that are serving them, that are providing value to them, then people aren't going to look at me as the person that can help solve their problems and help get them to where they want to go. So you got to you look inwards first, always, with every single thing that you're ever going to do. You always look inwards first. Leadership, happiness, family, doesn't matter. Look inwards first. Then you quickly turn to the outwards and you look at your audience. What do they care about? What do they need? What are they struggling with? What problems can I help solve for them? And that's where it starts.
So I'm curious. So you decide, all right, I'm going to do good on LinkedIn. Give us the basics. What did you work on first? What did you find out that you didn't expect? And what resources did you go to?
Yeah.
To get better?
The first thing I thought about after I looked inwards and I went through that whole discovery process of who am I? How am I going to show up on LinkedIn, and how am I going to be different? I thought about how am I going to differentiate myself? And so I started creating content. I started playing with the idea of creating somewhat entertaining content, but that also brought value to people. That was my way of being different, right? Everyone has unique abilities. So I thought about that, and that's what I was going to show. And that's what I was going to create content around while still bringing some educational value. The second thing I thought of was, I need to create a movement. This is what a lot of people miss. A lot of people aren't really in companies. They're not really building a brand. They're not really creating a movement. They've got their slogan and their headline, this matters to us, and this is the number one thing. And they've got their poster in the office, and that's cool. But that's not what matters most. You have to live it every day. You have to showcase that every day. You have to show it in your interactions and your messages and your engagement and your content and your website. It has to really come through. So when you create a movement, people want to be a part of it, right? Now you're creating inclusion. You're creating the fact that people are like, I want to join this person or this company because they stand for something. They're making a difference in the world versus hey, I can help you with your marketing. So I thought a lot about that. And then resource wise, I was very self-taught. So I literally, the type of person I am, I think this is where you got to know yourself, right? Some people are like, I need a coach right away. And otherwise this is going to be ridiculous. I'm a type of person where I'm like, I learn in different ways. And I was like obsessive with whatever I get into. So I just got into it, and I spent every second that I had trying to learn how to create better content, video specifically. I learned editing myself. I taught myself how to edit. I YouTube things that didn't really help all that much. I made a lot of mistakes. I learned a lot from my mistakes. And again, I was just consistent. I didn't worry about perfection. I worried about progress. I think that's what people miss. They think that everything's got to be perfect. Put out content and then make sure it progresses over time. So if you go back and look 12 months ago, 6 months ago, has your content gotten better? That's really, you should be judging yourself in that way. Not, is the post I'm going to post today the most perfect piece of content of all time?
And that's one of my favorite things that you say is progress over perfection. And you've seen me from the beginning, so and you've always I would post something and you would say great post, but I would have done this, and you've always helped with a little touch. So, but I'm a good example of I just started. I literally just said, okay, I'm going to try to put posts, and I would like walk around the street and make a video, and I would do one here. And now I just realized that, I want to be very consistent with my background, and that's my brand. And my brand is, people hopefully getting value from my sales content. The one thing you did tell me that really changed a lot for me, and I think this is important for people to know, is really when you talk about find who you are, don't be too much to too many people. Like I used to be put out there that I was sales and marketing. Yep. And then you were like, you're really sales. You're not sales. And you do marketing after you have some sales training. You talk about marketing with that same company, but I wasn't niched down enough to just talk about, I needed to be just sales. And when I did that, I think that's where I started to really, excel a little bit on and get the engagement that I needed. So I think that's really important as well, to find out what you actually do. Don't be too confusing or don't be too broad.
And even in your style, even in your personality, a lot of people, I worried about this. A lot of people worry about this, where it's like, for example, when I was putting out my content and it was different and there was humor in it, there was acting in it, there was green screens in it. No one was doing anything like this last year, in the beginning of this year, really. And so there's many times when I'd get a comment or get a message, or I'd even just to get them inside my own head and think, am I turning some people off by this stuff? Mm-hmm. Like, are some people just not going to feel this? And I'm like, yes, of course. But I'm not looking for those people. I'm looking for the people that want to be bold, that want to be innovative, that want to push the boundaries, that want to make a difference while they're here. And if you look at anyone that's made a difference when they're here, they're not vanilla. They don't fit into everyone. They've stood out for a purpose, for a reason. And so that always went into everything, where I don't try to attract, if you're not feeling me, no worries, no harm, no foul. I'm trying to attract the people that are like, this is cool. I like this. This is how we're going to stand out. This is innovative. I do not push what I do on the people and the companies that I help, though. So I don't go and say, hey, you need to do exactly what I do. I just say, again, you need to leverage what you have naturally and bring that out while bringing value to your audience.
So how did you kind of land on a message that you were comfortable with, that you started to see that you were resonating with the people that you wanted to serve? I'm sure you made some missteps, made some mistakes. Let's help us see how we can be a little more comfortable walking into that path.
Yeah, I just, like I said, the first few videos I put out were just me talking into the mic, and I would talk for 4 to 5 minutes and post it on LinkedIn. I now know that that's not at all what you want to do. People just aren't. Actually, the statistics literally show 30 seconds to 60 seconds is the highest engagement and highest performing video. The second best is 1 minute to 2 minutes, then it goes 3 minutes, 4 minutes, then it goes 5 and plus, because people on LinkedIn, there's a feed. It's not YouTube where it's search-based content. It's a feed-based content. So you want to keep it shorter clips, and then you can lead people to long form on YouTube or wherever you're trying to take them, your podcast. But when I first started, to answer your question, I started saying, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take a shot. And to be honest, I just really didn't care. I was working a full-time job. So I'm like, what's the worst that happens? Like, it flops. I'll do something different. Like I don't worry as much about if something doesn't work. People get so hung up, and I totally get it. Our egos and stuff, we get so hung up on what if it doesn't work? What if I say something wrong? I'm just like, I don't care. It's one piece of content. It just doesn't matter that much. But I started putting that stuff out there, and pretty much right away, I got pretty good responses where people are like, this is hilarious, but I also learned something. In the beginning, it was more like entertainment with a slight message, and people would be like, this is great. Oh, really cool. But then when I really started to know, because I was just paying attention to the audience and the community, and what are they saying and how do they feel about it? What do they really want and need? And I started noticing, the conversation changed. The comments changed from, oh, that was awesome. Ha ha ha. So funny. Great video, Alex, to, wow, that was really entertaining. I was engaged the whole time, but it really made me think about this. I really got a valuable message out of this. And that's when I started seeing comments consistently like that. Then I was like, I'm onto it, because that's what I was trying to do. But you look to your audience to kind of validate some of the things that you're doing. And when I started seeing those comments, it matched what I was trying to do. And I was like, there we go. And so I just went full steam ahead.
There's 2 things. There's 2 points I want to bring up. One is, people who are watching this or will watch it are thinking about, I work for another company. and I'm afraid to go on LinkedIn because, do I go on LinkedIn as that company or do I go on LinkedIn as a personal brand? And that's where I think you can separate yourself, because yes, you're working for a company, but you have to build a personal brand on LinkedIn, because it's not only going to help you, especially if you're in sales, it's going to help your company as well. And the second thing is, tell people once they start engaging, what's the key to actually turn the engagement into clients. I think that's where people slip up, is like, you got a lot of engagement. They're excited. Oh, I got 20 likes and I got 35 comments. But then what do you do? Like, that's where I think you really separate yourself, because you actually take those engagements and you turn them into possible clients.
Yeah. And there's a lot to that. But on your first point with the personal branding versus the company, there's not really a choice, right? Like, if you try to go out on LinkedIn as a company, like, has anyone tried to post as their company to LinkedIn stories? It virtually falls flat. The same with your post if you post on a company page, they just don't push it out as much. So you're just not going to reach people. But the other side of that is, people want to we're on the human factor. People want to deal with humans. They don't want to deal with a logo in a company, right? They want to deal with a person, especially in the B2B world, more specifically. So yes, you have to have their personal brand. And if you're confused or you're not sure what your company would think about it, have the conversation, and make sure that if you're looking for a job, make sure you're going to go work for a company that's okay with you speaking positively about your industry. Obviously, it's got to be respectful, and you got to keep in mind the company brand. You can't say something that's completely contradicts the place that you're working at. Like, that's not going to make any sense. So as long as it's aligned with the overall brand of the company, you still can talk about things that matter to you and to the industry and add value. And that's going to, if you're doing it right, it'll help generate revenue for your company and yourself, which leads me to the second half. How do you generate revenue for yourself and the company? And the answer, it starts with, there's a lot of things, but it starts with, really, if you look at the piece of content that you're putting out, it's got to be something that brings value to people, that positions you as an authority figure in your space. So when people consume the content, they're like, well, I got something out of that. It was well put together. And this person looks like they know what they're talking about. And then if I go to their profile, which is why your profile has to be optimized and it has to speak to your audience and it's got to be credible. They go to your profile and they say, oh, I saw this video from Alex. Oh, looks like he knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this and this. Oh, I see some video testimonials. I see some reviews. I see he's got more content that's geared towards helping you win clients on LinkedIn. Let me watch a couple more videos. And that's exactly how a lot of the buyers, that's the journey that they go through. So you have to understand that piece of it. And then there's the tactical stuff, which is like, do you have calls to actions? Sometimes in my comments, I'll say, hey, if you're creating content and it's not converting to customers, ask me about my 5-week LinkedIn video bootcamp. I put together a systemized process anybody can follow, and I take you through a journey A to Z on how to get this done for you. And so like you have to be very intentional. That's the word. You can't just throw out content and hope it gets good engagement. You got to say, where am I trying to take my audience with this specific post? How can I generate a customer or two from this specific post? And beyond that, I know I may talk to a lot of people that they'll get 20, 30 likes or reactions on a post. They'll post 2 or 3 or 4 times a week. I'll sit down with them. They'll say, Alex, I'm not generating any leads. I'm like, Fred, you've got 100 reactions from your last 4 posts. How many of those people have you gone through and sent a personalized video DM and trying to offer up something of value with no strings attached to have a meeting with them to see if you might be able to actually work with them? Oh, well, I haven't done that. So you're telling me you got people reacting to your comment, to your content, which is what you want. They're telling you, they're signaling to you, I like what you're putting out. I like this. It's like having a stand at the mall and you're selling products on a table. And then people walk by and they're like, yo, that's awesome. That's amazing. Oh my God, I'd love to have one of those. And you're like, cool, thanks. Have a great day. Come again, right? Instead of being like, hey, hold on a second. Let me show you how I make this. You'd actually get a kick out of it. Like, this is really cool. Or hey, if you like this, you check out this stuff. Free, right? I'm not trying to say, buy my stuff. I'm just saying, hey, let me invite you to show you a little bit more. And so that's what you have to do with the reaction. That's the part that I think people miss.
Yeah.
I did a video on that a while back, but people miss that because they're like, I'm going to create content and then everyone's going to come running to me and knocking on my doors. And don't get me wrong, a lot of my customers come to me. So that does happen over time. But you have to know how to go out there and get that. You have to know how to be the hunter before you become the hunted. That's the key. You got to know how to outreach too. This is an inbound and an outbound game.
So, Alex, what are the kind of the top 3 things to improve engagement? Obviously, reaching out and seeing a personalized DM? What are a couple other things that people need to consider
to improve engagement on a post?
Yeah.
Number one, you need to engage with your target audience. I think that this is another thing that people miss, especially when they first get on here. They're like, Alex, I'm getting one like on my, on my last 4 posts, one reaction. I'm getting no comments. I'm like, okay, but Shelly, I'm looking at your activity because I can see it. It's public. I'm like, you haven't commented on anybody's post in the last 7 days. like you don't get to just post content and then everyone comes flooding to you. You have to go out there and give. I comment on a lot of people's things and provide value in the comments, which I think the comments are your secondary content. It's just another form of content. Not that you need to leave some insightful, crazy thing every single time you leave a comment. It's not about that. But you do need to show enough value to where you're making your mark on someone else's piece of content. So you got to get out there and engage. Number 2, you've got to create interesting content. So if you're doing an interview like this, like you guys are recording this, I'll probably chop this up and make a few pieces of content out of this. I'm not going to start the conversation off with us just like in the middle of some conversation, like, yeah, so anyways, that's kind of what you have to do. I'm going to start off being like, this is what you have to do if you want to win on LinkedIn. And that's probably I'll probably literally cut that piece right there and use that for the start of like the start of the piece of the content. I did. I'm very intentional, like that's, but that's it. That's the game. So you got to make interesting content. It doesn't mean you need to be wacky or do something crazy. You just got to make sure you're thinking about, hey, the first 3 to 5 seconds, am I hooking my audience in? If I know my audience struggles to set appointments, how can I take a piece of the conversation that we talked for an hour where we said, hey, if you're struggling to set appointments, salespeople, I know you guys are struggling to get more appointments on your calendar. It's probably because you're not doing this. And then you talk about what you're doing, but you slice that and put that at the beginning of the interview. And it's a minute-long interview or a minute-long clip or a minute-and-a-half long clip. That's the beginning portion. You hook people. They're going to want to see. If you're targeting the right audience, they're going to want to see that message through. And so that's how it works. I mean, it's a combination of things, but you've got to definitely the engagement piece and just the content's got to be good itself.
Alex, I know you're at a time constraint. How are you doing with time right now?
We're good.
Okay, cool. So, tell people down to the nitty gritty. So you obviously video is your game. That's your niche. Tell people, you told me about Filmora 9. That's what you used for doing your editing. And obviously you're talking about outsourcing and stuff. Give people a little bit of, can you start with something and then you recommend outsourcing? What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, as they say. I mean, you could pull out your phone. You could shoot. I did it literally last night. I did a selfie video and it did quite well. And I was talking about the state of LinkedIn video because it's been a little bit weird recently. So that was a straight up selfie video, no editing. There's also, you could hop on you could do apps, InShot and things like that. Those work. They can give you the headlines and whatnot. You could use something like a Zubtitle where you record a video, you plug it in there. It'll populate a headline for you. You type in what you want it to be. Then it populates the subtitles for you. You got to go through and correct them, make sure they're spelling right and they're put together. And then you download and now you've got a video with a headline and subtitles. The other way, if you want to start adding more things in there, maybe you want to use a green screen or you want to get more creative, more transitions, then you can download Filmora 9 or Adobe Premiere Pro. And you can start editing your videos. You can start really doing, as creative as you want to get, as much stuff as you want to put on there, you can do it. Or you can outsource. You can go to, Fiverr or Upwork and you can find somebody that literally does this for a living and find somebody that's reasonably priced. And you can send them the footage that you want put into a piece of content, kind of tell them what you want done, and you send it to them and they kick it back to you fully completed.
Yeah, and I think that's important too. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Well, talk to us more about LinkedIn and how they feel about video.
Mm-hmm.
And how, how you're using it.
Yeah, and here's how I look at it, because recently video, it's no secret, video views have gone down. Now, we had the elections recently. There's been some changes in the algorithm a tad bit. It seems to me, at least from what I've heard. And so it's less views, but the engagement seems to be around the same. Now, will that change? Sometimes I've even seen cases where it was like 20 views and then 23 comments or 23 reactions. And it's kind of like, well, how are there 23 reactions if there were 20 views? That didn't even make sense. So I think something's a little bit off off whack. Like it's just wacky right now. Now, will it come back to where it was a month ago? I don't know. I don't really care. That's the thing that people, one thing that I've really learned throughout going through this whole process is you can't get hung up on the medium. You can't put the medium on the pedestal. You got to put the result on the pedestal. So if LinkedIn's like, we're done with videos tomorrow, we're no more videos, I'd be like, okay, I'm either going to choose to stay on LinkedIn and I'll do whatever is going to get my customers the best results, or I'm going to leave LinkedIn and I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and I'll leverage those platforms for video. So you have to think about what's the best result, which is why I'm posting more non-video stuff. I'm still posting video. I'm not going to abandon on video because it's always going to work, and you need video to build your brand. If someone's only seen 100 text posts from you, they have no clue what you're like. They're less likely to trust you. They don't know how you interact with people. They don't know what kind of they're just going off what they read. It's like trying to make a sales or trying to make a high dollar sale by just emailing back and forth. Good luck. Like you need to talk. You need to build a relationship, and that's what video allows you to do. And so I'm not going to abandon video. Of course not. But will I mix in more text posts and picture posts? Of course, because I need to test and try. Will I mix in more selfie videos? And I've got some new things up my sleeve that you're going to see soon, where it's just different kind of editing and shorter form videos, because I think that's probably going to work better. And you got to test and try. That's part of marketing. But if you look at video just from a holistic standpoint, video is going to be around for a long, long time. I mean, forever. I mean, until there's virtual reality and other things, but that's even video. It's just on a whole new level, right? It's still about seeing people. We're humans. At the most fundamental level, we always want to be connected. How do we get connected? We see each other. We can't see each other. We see each other like this. We can't do this. We hop on a phone. We can't hop on a phone. We write. We can't write. We Morse code. We send smoke signals. We carve in stone. I mean, just from the beginning of time, humans want to connect. It's in our nature. We're a community-based species. We're not lone rangers. So we're craving this. People want this. The algorithms are going to change, right? The algorithms go up and down. Platforms come and go. Certain platforms are hot now that won't be in 3 years, and et cetera. So it's best that you know how to create good content for not just one platform, but for multiple platforms. Video, I mean, if you look at the hottest platform in the world right now, it's TikTok, and it's not even close. And I know everyone's like, TikTok, there's a bunch of kids dancing. There is a lot of that, but also the demographic has changed too. I think it's 30% or 40% now of the users are over 30. So it's changing too. So people need to figure out that. Doesn't mean they spend 3 hours, 4 hours a day on it, but you need to understand it, because what if something does happen to LinkedIn, or what if LinkedIn changes their style to fit the more of the TikTok, because I feel like that's where it's going. And you don't know how, you've never spent 1 hour on there, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be behind. So I think that's where it's like, you got to look at video. I look at video from a big picture. Video is not going away. Will it change in how I do it, and the style, and for what platform, and the nuances, and how I produce? Of course, but it's always going to be about grabbing attention and building a community and converting that attention into customers. That's still the name of the game. So again, it's not necessarily one medium, one platform. It's the results. We work backwards to say, how can we get the best results based on the platform, based on the product or service that we're selling?
Hey, Aneda is with us. I just saw
Morse code. What's up, Aneda? I know Aneda well. We're homies.
Aneda was just on my podcast last night. We did a recording, so that's coming out in December. That's going to be fun.
And this is the thing, though. Like, I know it's funny, but like, if somehow, let's just live in fairyland for a little bit, Morse code came back today, and it was like, it was dirt cheap. Like, you could buy it for like 2 pennies, and you could send a message to 5 people, and you knew one of them was going to convert. I'd be doing Morse code. Like, right. I wouldn't abandon video, because I still know that's the future, but I'd be like, do Morse code. It's 2 cents, and you can win a customer. So I think like that's where, for me, the biggest mistake I made is I got too into the just video, just LinkedIn, and you can't over leverage yourself. You can't worry about the medium as much as just what's going to be the results. And you do got to look at the future too. And so that's important.
Yeah. And just recently, Alex, you and I chatted about this. I did a long form post. I did a text post, and it actually got one of the highest views I've ever gotten. And you said, "Hey, dude, are you testing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm because I was just doing video, and now I'm doing a couple of text posts, and I did my first carousel the other day." And it's just, I think it's also helpful for people who watch you and start engaging, and for those lurkers out there who always watch your stuff but don't say anything. If you're doing something different, it might engage them in a different way.
Yep. Totally. You got to test and try.
Yeah.
So what's some of the things that we should be considering to be innovative on LinkedIn? What's coming down the pike, Alex?
It's hard to say, right? I mean, I can't tell you what the next big thing is, but I can tell you what works right now, which is, again, you got to leverage yourself. You have to do what comes natural to you that you feel like are your strengths. So if you're quirky, use it. If you're funny, use it. If you can act, use it. If you're a great interviewer, use it. If you're, great at storytelling, use it. You can do poems, use it. You can write and draw, and you're an artist. You better believe if I could draw today, I literally can't even draw a stick figure. My 6-year-old daughter can draw better than me. It's just not one of my strengths. But if I could draw, I would be posting probably once a week, just testing at least at first. And I'd draw a really cool message. It'd be one picture or maybe 2 pictures. It'd be a really cool message that spoke to my target audience, but it would be in the drawing format. I was speaking to someone last week and I was like, if I could sing, I would mix in singing in my content. Doesn't mean I would get on LinkedIn and just sing for 5 minutes. I would have a message. But I would mix in some of the singing every now and then to just see because no one's doing it. So it's like, have you heard that person that's like great content and they can sing so that's where I think people really need to, you got to look inwards and figure out that's the game. The game is not to try to figure out what's next, because it's so hard to say. I mean, video changed 2 weeks ago and it's like punched us all in the face. Who saw that coming? Nobody. Right. So it's like, but again, I go back to like, I still got me and I still got this movement that I'm creating, and video is still going to be around, and you still got to know how to grab attention. You still got to know how to be innovative and creative. You still got to know how to think outside of the box, which is why we started our LinkedIn live show. And it's an improv show every Tuesday where we do comedy improv for 15, 20 minutes. And then we're going to switch to talking about real business subjects that matter to people. So it's like, again, it's LinkedIn Live. A lot of people are doing lives. A lot of people have podcasts, but how can you be the one person that's just different? And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It just has to be something where it's like, oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of a podcast like that. That's an interesting style that you do. I've never seen someone start a podcast like that before. So that's how I think about it.
And I think that's such a great point, because when you figure out your space, like for me it's sales training, for Steve it's marketing. There's a bunch of us out there. There's a million sales trainers, there's a million marketing people. But if you're the one putting yourself out there and adding value, and you're the one that's being different, like I don't want to be just another sales trainer talking about objection handling. I want to be the sales trainer who's talking about how to be a human being and how to have customers actually really like you, because you'll get more sales that way because you're helping instead of selling. So you're so right. Is don't think that if you're a real estate agent, well, there's a million real estate agents, I'm just, how am I going to stand out? You are you. There's something about you that makes you different. And that's what you need to showcase. And when you start putting out content, that's how you need to do it. That's
a good example. If you're a real estate person, most people are, they fall into the trap of like, I need to showcase houses for my content. I need to show people that I sell stuff, list a house for a piece of content. In the reality, if you're a real estate agent in Chicago, you become the hotspot person where you talk about all the best restaurants on the west side of Chicago or north side of Chicago or the suburbs of Chicago. You talk about the best places to get a deal for this and this. You really speak to the what the audience cares about, which sometimes they need to buy a house, but if they don't, you're bringing in audiences now that maybe are buying in a year from now, but they're like, this Alex guy's always talking, he's this real estate agent. He's always talking about, we actually found our favorite restaurant because Alex was talking about this new restaurant that popped up that no one knew about, or this new attraction to go see in the suburbs that no one even knows about yet. So that's how you draw people in. And then once they see your content, they can look at your profile, and that's where you start saying, I'm a real estate agent. Here's how I help people. Here's the type of stuff I do. But your content's got to bring people together. It's got to draw interest.
Mm-hmm.
So this has really been a great conversation. I've got a lot of takeaways here. You have to be the hunter before you can become the hunted. I like that. You need to be out hustling, doing your work before you expect people to come to you. And they do. They go and research your post. They research your profile. So your profile has to be optimized. You need to start being comfortable with your own style. Like Alan was saying, there's something unique about you that you need to start to settle into. I think one of the things I was worried about is I was watching other thought leaders and thinking I needed to be similar to them and run my show like them. But what I realized, I'm not them. I'm Steve from Texas, right? And so that's what I started leaning into, and it feels better but you have to give yourself permission. You need to, what's the other one? Yeah. How do we turn engagement into actual business? And that's where we're replying to all comments. We're giving comments on other people's posts. We're being more intentional about our post, and don't get hung up on the medium. Let's focus on the results. Because like I talk about in my book, but our technology is always going to change, but yet humans are always going to be humans, and they want to engage like humans all the time. So don't lose sight of that.
That's exactly right. And the one thing that just popped in my head that, and there's two things, but the one thing that you taught me, Alex, is, especially with video, when you connect with someone, use the amazing option on LinkedIn to do a video DM rather than just writing a comment saying, "Hey, thanks for the post." If that's your target audience and they walked by your stand in the mall and they engage with you, send them a video DM. You will be shocked on the response rate you will get rather than just sending them a text.
Exactly. People are amazed that most people don't even realize, or at least a good portion of people don't even realize that you can send a video DM. So when you're the one person that does it out of 99.9% of other people that are just doing a text post, and mostly all of them are pitchy anyways, you instantly stand out. So if we flash forward in 5 years from now, everyone's doing video and everyone's in picture, but there's this new VR thing that I'm going to do the new VR thing if that stands out, So it's, again, video DM is just a thing right now that is going to help you stand out, and it's personalized, and people get to feel you a little bit more. They understand your personality a little bit better. It's warmer. And so it's the play for sure.
And it's funny because people ask me sometimes, well, how did you get this person on your podcast? How did you get that person on your podcast? I have two answers. I'm like, one, I simply asked the question, but I did it with a video DM. I didn't just send them a text. That's how I got Anita. She's big time. She wouldn't talk to me, but I put my face on there and she finally relented. So
love it. Love it.
Well, thanks so much for being on this episode, Alex. This has been very helpful. I learned a lot. I'm sure the folks that are watching. Where can folks reach out to you, Alex, if they want to learn more?
LinkedIn's a great place. I'm on here daily. Alex B. Sheridan. My email address, asheridan@impaxx.com. That's IMPAXS.com. And I'm on the other social media platforms too, but that's a good place to start.
Well, thanks so much for being on The Human Factor. So
thank you.
Those that want to learn more about sales from Alan is your man to go to get your team squared away on how they can be more human in their sales process. They can create better relationships. They can learn how to connect with folks and really grow your business. Alan is the man.
And Steve's the man for the marketing side of that. So once you want to get those leads through Steve, and then we'll figure out the sales end. But Steve is ROI Online, has a great book called The Golden Toilet with a really long subtitle, which I'm not going to remember to say. There it is.
I love it.
And build a system that grows your business.
See, and that stands out.
Yeah.
So, this has been great, guys. It's been a lot of fun. And I guess are we signing off now, Steve, or we have any final homework or housekeeping for anybody?
Well, let's, Alex, what's one last thing you want to leave everybody with before we hop off?
One thing that I always try to say when I ask these questions is that, you have one life to live, and you get one shot at this. And so business, personally, putting out content, putting yourself out there, if it's for you, could be an opportunity to make a difference in other people's lives, in your own life. And it gives you a whole new perspective on the world. So go for it. Be bold. Take some chances, take some risk. You'll usually never look back and say, I wish I wouldn't have taken that risk. You usually look back and said, I wish I would have done that, or I wish I would have started earlier. Ask anybody that's on social media, LinkedIn, any platform right now. They'll never tell you that they're sorry or they wish they wouldn't have got started. What they will tell you is that if I could go back, I would have done this sooner. I think be bold, take some chances, and make this one life that you get the best you possibly can in all ways.
All right. Thanks.
Great stuff.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Alex. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Take care. See you guys.
All right. And that's a wrap.
Bye, everybody. See you next week.